So tonight, in a simple way, this is what I would do. I would be brutally frank with myself and don't modify it. If there is no restraint on what God offers and you have a desire, nothing is impossible to God. So know exactly what you want and be honest with yourself. Now, if it were true, what would it feel like? And if it were true, could I restrain the impulse to talk about it? No, I couldn't. I would have to tell it. And we are told in Jeremiah, if I say I will not mention him or speak any more in his name, there is in my heart, as it were, a burning fire, shut up in my bones, and I am weary with holding it in, and I cannot. Well, do it. He has to talk about it when he discovers a principle that works and proves itself in performance. Now, don't modify your objective. You know what you want? Well, that's it. Now, what would the feeling be like? And what would I say? And to whom would I say it? Well, carry on that conversation from the premise of the wish fulfilled and try to keep it until it's natural, until it feels natural. When it takes on the tones of reality and the feeling of naturalness, you've got it. The thing is working now. You can play it over and over as you play a nice record. If you like good music, you never tire of listening to it. You play it every day and several times a day and never tire of good music. If you appreciate it, you get tired of the bebop, but how could you ever tire of the beautiful classical pieces? I know I don't, so I can listen to them every day, and I do when I'm at home. We turn our radio to a certain station, and it's 24 hours of classical music, KFAC, with very little advertising and a small little 3-minute newscast on the hour. And then throughout the hour, unbroken hour, wonderful music. Piano between 9 and 10, the Beethovens and the Brahms in the box for 1 solid hour. I just enjoy it, feast upon it. Well, you can take a record, your own record, and do that, and let it come back into this world bearing fruit. One second, I'm going to take a little drink here. And obviously everyone should do what he's encouraged you to do here, to pick that whatever goal you have, whatever thing you want, that as far as you know hasn't expressed itself yet. Assume that it has already happened, and now talk to people about it. Talk to your best friend, talk to your parents, talk to your partner if you already have a partner. Talk to your kids if you have kids. Whoever you would tell that news to, start telling them about it. Start talking about it like it's already happened, mentally in your own mind. And then throughout the day, when you start noticing, oh, it hasn't happened yet, go back to that conversation. So if you want to, let's go with one that a lot of people, as far as I know, really want, besides money. A lot of people want to be married or to be with someone, and a lot of times they already have someone in mind. They call it a specific person in the community, right? So a lot of people want to marry a specific person. Well, after you are married to them, you're going to talk to people about it, right? You're going to talk to your parents about, your parents, they've been there, right? So let's assume that, okay, someone who's been at your wedding, you're talking to them 2 months later, and they're telling you, I really just loved your wedding. I had the best time at it. I'm so happy for you. How are things going? And you say, my relationship is just fantastic. I'm so happily married. Our relationship couldn't be better. Things like that. Like it's pretty simple. And if you really know that you want a long-term commitment with somebody, you could go to an anniversary a couple years in the future, and you just got home from a anniversary dinner, and your best friend calls you, and you're just saying, yeah, I just got back from dinner. Tonight was our 3-year anniversary, and I don't know how, but our marriage somehow seems to get better every single day. And your friend says, wow, that's just fantastic. Like, I remember when I was at your wedding, we had such the best time in the world. Simple stuff. And then put it to how you would talk about it and how your friend would talk about it, or whoever other person you're going to bring into this conversation. When it comes to a job, when you get a job that you like and you're making the money you want to make and you're really fulfilled and satisfied, you have all those conversations with your friends. Even if they live in other states, that's generally my experience. I still see my friends when they come back into town for holidays, and we usually go to lunch or We probably won't be doing that now until COVID stuff gets straightened out. But we'll have some kind of meetup, And at that point, we're talking about what's going on in our life. So if you have that same experience, put yourself in one of those conversations, talking about how you have this job you want. It's going great. You're making the amount of money you want. You're enjoying your work every day. You've never been more fulfilled with what you're doing in your career. And it's just great. Whatever things you want, you could talk to them about your marriage, because maybe this is a friend who couldn't make it to the wedding. Though be careful with that, because if you really want them to be there, you might manifest them not coming when otherwise they could have come. But if this is someone you're like, yeah, they're a good friend, but they wouldn't necessarily be at my wedding, you can imagine having that conversation with them, telling them about your wedding. Whatever thing you set your heart on that you really desire, do this with it. Just pick one thing, because I know it's so easy to feel overwhelmed, right? But pick one thing and do it. And find a conversation you really enjoy with someone that you really do love, that would be happy for you. And have that conversation as often as possible. Whenever you think of this thing, go back to that conversation and see how that pulls you out of whatever sense of lack that you've accidentally fallen into. Okay, so here he's going to talk about the promise. The promise is very different to what we've been talking about all today, because all today we've been talking about the law. The promise is, well, let's just hear Neville's much more eloquent description of the promise than any I will ever tell you. So I do hope you will take me seriously. You haven't a thing to lose and all to gain. That's why you are here, and that's why I've been sent to tell you. There is a law and there is a promise. The promise is going to come regardless, but while you are waiting for the promise, you can make life more comfortable with the use of the law, because the law must be operated. We are the operant power. It will not operate itself, but the promise is coming. You can't stop the promise. The promise is that you are going to be God. That's the promise. You're going to wake up one day and know that you are God. And all the symbolism that confirms it will stand before you. And then you'll know who you are. His Son will call you Father. And you will know that you are God. And when His only Son calls you Father, you will know that He is your Son. And He'll know that you're His Father. So that promise is coming. But while you wait for the promise, take the law and use it. I quoted very much this night on the law, which is the inner conversations. Use your inner conversations, because if you do, you will have the salvation of God. And because your former conversations were related to your old nature, and He tells you to put it off, you can only put off the old nature by putting off the old conversations, because they're related. The former conversations were producing the old nature. And if the nature is the principle upon which man depends for sameness of form and transmitted life, the same form is going to be transmitted until you change the former conversations. When you put on a new record, the new conversations, you're going to change your world. And people will meet you and wonder what has happened to you. Why? Now he is moving in the most marvelous manner. Things are just going perfectly for him. Why? He changed his nature. How did he do it? He changed his inner conversations.